Hey guys, welcome to Wrong Ones. Today we're going to be talking about the Delhi Capitals, our favorite team. I'm not going to make any promises on being unbiased. Some of us want to do that today. I definitely don't want to be unbiased today. So you're going to get some wild takes and lots of passionate responses. After all, we've dealt with 12 years of Delhi being terribly underwhelming. So, to start off with, Han, do you want to take us in?
I'll start with what I think are the key strengths of this Delhi team. I think the main strength, which is pretty obvious, is we've got a lot of Indian international talent, as in people with international experience. And if you see any of the successful franchises, whether it's Chennai, whether it's Mumbai or KKR when they won those two titles, their team was built around a solid Indian core and Indian base. And this Delhi team has 10 players in the whole squad, which are Indian internationals, which is very rare. And they can build a really strong squad of just Indian internationals. What that means is that unlike some other teams, they are not so heavily dependent on the foreign players. And those are actually they can be used as X factors because the Indian players are so good that they can actually form a team of their own. And the other one is I feel they were, unlike earlier time, they got a lot of options of what they can do and where flexibility in terms of what they can choose to do in different conditions. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. How about Noor?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Ahaan said. I think one of the great things about this Delhi team is that they have backups for pretty much anyone who gets injured. And I think the reason they have that is because they have a genuinely great core of Indian players. I think this is one of the only teams they can just load up their top six, top seven with Indians and really just go, and just use their internationals for bowling. So I think that's their biggest advantage. Their Indian core, their potential backups for any possible injuries. Because in the past, that's been a problem where Delhi injuries has like kind of hurt their season. When Chris Wokes got decided to withdraw from the season, that was one of the big worries. But then again, they got a good backup for him. So I think that's a great strength for them is that their ability to match players on their bench to the top 11. I also think that another great thing about them is that they have a really impressive spin department. I think they always had a really good spin department. I mean, Amit Mishra, I think, is my favorite Delhi player of all time. Say whatever, Mishi's a legend. But I also think the addition to Ashwin in that team makes a lot of sense as well this year. And then there's Akshar Patel and Sandeep. So there's a really good spin and variety in spin as well. So those are my three strengths for Delhi this year.
Kabir, any other strengths?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, to be honest, I think you guys have covered all of them. I didn't have the spin down. That's definitely a really good point. But I think the bench strength and the fact that we have so many good Indian players is a massive plus for a 53-day tournament or whatever 6-week tournament it is. So yeah, definitely 6 week, 8 weeks. Yeah. Now let's go on.
Yeah, no, I just want to add to that. I also think in the type of wickets, so the flat wickets we're going to see in the UAE, having a great Indian core for the batsman is important, right? Because they'll know how to, I think the Indian players will have a better idea of how to navigate those circumstances compared to some of the other international players, just because we are used to some flat pitches in India as well. And the spinners, again, is a great advantage for just the conditions of the UAE.
Yeah, I think for sure the pitches they're going to get in the UAE are going to be more like the Delhi pitch than they are going to be like the Wankhede or Chinnaswamy. So I think that could hold us in good stead because when we picked our team initially, we picked it for Delhi, not for the UAE. But because the pitches will be, I think, slower, they'll be low, like similar to Delhi rather than a really easy wicket to bat on. That'll help us because we have players who can play in those conditions.
No, I don't agree with that point at all. I think that the pitches in the UAE will be a lot like the Chinnaswamy and a lot like the Wankhede because it's going to be flat and it's going to be straight and it's going to be normal. They're not as slow as we expect them to be. Everyone has this like thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Kabir. I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to be slow. And if you remember last season, Delhi didn't play that well in Kotla.
yeah,
For
play terribly,
whatever
exactly.
called
Yeah,
out.
Yeah, but I
They
think
played
that's
well in other places, and I think
I
that's
think
what's going to
Delhi
contribute
worked because they didn't do
the
that well.
dynamic
Because
of
they didn't
the
do that well at the Kotla. That's why they did trades like Ashwin and Rahane because they wanted to build their team around a solid Indian batter because those are the kind of players that are better on the Delhi kind of tracks.
yeah.
And I feel like we'll get a few, especially later in the tournament, the tracks in the UAE will be a lot like the Delhi track.
Yeah, no, no. I guess later on it gets a little slower. I don't doubt that. But my original point was a lot to do with the flatness of the wicket, really
Okay.
giving the batsman an advantage.
yeah,
That's when we saw the most explosive cricket where Delhi played last season away from home.
Yeah. So
mm,
So I think that's going to be good. I think Kotla was actually harder for the Delhi players to play. Maybe it's because us with Ashwin, but we still had a great spinning team then as well. I think the flatness of the pitches can actually help some of these players really kick off from ball one or two.
yeah, fair enough.
yeah, 100%. I think the main difference in the grounds is that uh, I think the pitches themselves will be similar to the Wankhede or the Chinnaswamy, but I think because the grounds are slightly bigger than the Wankhede and the Chinnaswamy, that'll be a big difference. Having a boundary that's like 5 yards longer on either side, or even, 5 yards longer on either side, or just a little bit larger makes a big difference.